We often assume that the things a person does well must be the things that matter most to them. But that is not always true. Someone can be skilled, quick, even masterful in an area that they rarely foreground. Another person can care intensely about something that still feels awkward or difficult. Model L gives us a precise way to separate those two facts. Aptitude tells us what a function can do. Priority tells us how much weight it carries. The distinction changes how we understand type. In the first Conceptual Foundations video, we moved from the idea of a function position to the idea of a coordinate. A function is not only an information element sitting in a familiar slot, it also has a particular profile. This raises a useful question. When we see someone handle an area of life confidently, what exactly have we observed? Have we seen genuine psychological priority? Or have we only seen aptitude, practice, professional training, or a situation that happens to reward that capacity? Model L asks us to keep those possibilities apart. The key move is simple. Model L does not place every function on one ranking from weak to strong. It uses two distinct axes. The first is dimensionality, which we can treat as aptitude. The second is priority, which is the amount of psychological weight given to that function. These axes can coincide, but they do not have to. A person may be capable without being invested. They may also be invested without feeling fully equipped. Once we see both axes, several familiar socionics puzzles become easier to explain. Dimensionality answers the question, can I do this? At one dimension, a function is poor, narrow, tiring, and easily overwhelmed. At 2 dimensions, it is adequate. At 3, it is proficient and broadly usable. At 4, it is masterful, flexible, confident, and capable of handling complexity. This describes facility. It is about the range and ease with which a person can process an area of information. But facility alone does not tell us whether that area is central to their judgment, their motivation, or their sense of what matters. Priority answers a different question. How much weight does this carry? At 1 priority, a function is trivial. It may still operate, but it does not pull much attention or investment. At 2, it is discretionary. At 3, it is relevant. At 4, it is paramount, a major organizing concern in how the person evaluates life and decides what to do. Priority is not simply liking a topic, and it is not a measure of moral worth. It is a structural measure of attentional and motivational significance. Put these together and we get a coordinate map. Along one axis is aptitude from 1 dimension to 4. Along the other is priority from trivial to paramount. Each function position occupies a characteristic point on that map. This is why a single observation can mislead. Confidence may tell us something about dimensionality. Repeated concern may tell us something about priority. Neither observation is enough by itself. Typing becomes more reliable when we ask how ease and importance are related, rather than collapsing them into one impression. The base function shows a matched pattern, 4 dimensions and 4 priority. It is both highly equipped and highly attended to. The person can use it fluently, and they naturally grant it major weight when making sense of life. This is more than a talent. It is a central orientation. Because aptitude and priority are matched, the base does not create the same kind of unmet pull that we find elsewhere in the model. It is simply a place where capacity and sustained psychological investment meet. Now consider the ignoring function. Its pattern is 3 dimensions but only 1 priority. This can be counterintuitive. The person may be capable, quick, and accurate in this area, yet they may not treat it as a major concern. They can use it when it is useful, but they do not necessarily build their preferences, judgments, or identity around it. This is one reason skill is a poor shortcut to values. Someone can do something well while experiencing it as peripheral, routine, or simply less important than other concerns. The suggestive function reverses the picture. It is 1-dimensional, but carries 3 priority. Here, the area is difficult to produce independently, yet it has real psychological significance. Good input from other people can feel relieving, valuable, or quietly nourishing because it meets a need the person does not easily meet alone. That does not mean the person is helpless, nor that every pleasant interaction reveals the suggestive. It means that weakness and importance can coexist. Model L makes that combination visible rather than treating all weak functions as equally unimportant. The mobilizing function has 2 dimensions and 4 priority. It is not effortless, but neither is it completely unavailable. The person can work with it, develop it, and often take pride in doing so. At the same time, it carries paramount importance. That creates a strong sense of movement toward greater competence and support. The mobilizing is therefore not a simple deficit. It is a productive stretch, an area where personal investment is high and where growth, encouragement, and collaboration can have unusual force. Model L calls the difference between priority and dimensionality demand. Demand equals priority minus dimensionality. When the result is positive, importance outruns ease. The suggestive, at 3 priority and 1 dimension, has demand of 2. The mobilizing, at 4 priority and 2 dimensions, also has demand of 2. When the result is 0, aptitude and priority are matched. When it is negative, the person has more capacity than felt need, as with the ignoring function. This formula gives a structural account of why some kinds of help feel welcome while others feel unnecessary. This changes the questions we ask when typing. Do not ask only what someone is good at. Work, education, confidence, or repeated practice can produce impressive skill. Do not ask only what they discuss either. Anxiety, social pressure, and circumstance can make any topic prominent. Instead, look for stable patterns of ease, attention, strain, and receptivity. What does the person handle fluently? What do they keep returning to as important? Where does help feel useful rather than intrusive? Those questions bring aptitude and priority into view together. A function coordinate therefore tells us more than whether an element is strong or weak, valued or unvalued. It describes a relationship between ability and psychological weight. That is the value of separating aptitude from priority. It lets us see why a capable person may not care, why a vulnerable area may still matter deeply, and why development has a different texture in different positions. The next step is to see how Model L extends this coordinate logic across 16 positions, giving the familiar Model A structure a more detailed map.